everybody. It's Monday, February 8th, and that means it's time for another episode of Chatting with Agnes and Cecilia. I'm one of your co-hosts, Cecilia Supp. I'm the principal and founder of Road Tulips Nonprofit Consulting and Association Management Services. I'm here today with my friend and co-host, Agnes. I'm going to throw it over to Agnes to say hello and introduce herself.
Thank you, Cecilia. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to our global audience, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Agnes Amos Coleman. I'm an author and a consultant. Over to you, Cecilia.
Thanks, Agnes. And we're here today with our guest, Mike Jacka, who we've already had a great time laughing with. And he is the Chief Creative Pilot of FPACTS. And our topic today with Mike is creativity, a hallmark for organizational success. So welcome, Mike, first-time guest, long-time listener, I'm sure. Would you like to say hello and kick off our conversation?
Hello, which seemed to be the prerequisite for your introduction into me. And just a quick note, I'll just say creativity to me is one of the most important things for any organization. I come from an internal audit background, and that is actually what the name of the company is, Flying Pig Audit Consulting and Training Solutions. When will auditors provide value? When pigs fly, and our job is to try and help them fly. So do a lot of writing and speaking and training around a lot of subjects that relate to internal audit, but creativity is one of the big ones for me. To my mind, it is the only way that companies can really succeed, organizations can really succeed through creativity and innovation.
So Mike, that's actually a great lead-in question. You mentioned creativity and innovation. In your opinion, what's the difference between creativity and innovation?
When I speak on it and talk about it from what I've looked at, creativity is really about that ability to come up with something new. Innovation is about implementation. It's about taking those wild and crazy ideas and figuring out, okay, how is this going to make a difference in the bottom line, a difference in people's lives, change the way things are?
And I think that's a great way to differentiate it. I've read a lot about the difference between creativity and innovation, and that's one of the most succinct definitions I've heard. So thanks for sharing that. And there's a lot of creative icons in the world, and I'm sure we all have our personal favorites. So who's your personal favorite for inspiration when it comes to creativity?
Probably the number one is Walt Disney. And when you think about the types of things he was doing, the directions he was going, he was never satisfied. He was always looking for something new. As a matter of fact, you can kind of see up above my shoulder, it's a picture of Disneyland, and it is Walt actually walking through the castle as he was coming up. And this picture to me really speaks to what creativity is about. I see him looking at that just going, imagine what I thought of and imagine what I got done. And you think about all the parks he had. By the time Walt passed away, he didn't even care about the parks. He was dreaming of a whole new urban society. This is where his mind always was, looking for something new and different. So he was about creativity, about building a creative team, about building a creative environment, leading to these innovations.
Well, and we're talking about creativity supporting organizational success. So to you, Mike, what is the most important thing about creativity in application to an organization strategy?
I'll go with the problem. Most people seem to think that creativity is an end in and of itself. And let's talk again about creativity and innovation, because we really mean innovation when we talk about that. But the problem is so many people think in terms of, oh, we need innovation, come on, do it now. And it doesn't happen that way. It is a creative environment, building that environment where ideas are being generated. So the minute innovation is needed, it's too late. It's already been innovated. Something different has been made. Part of the success that I had within the group that I was in charge of in the Phoenix, Arizona area, where I was in charge of an audit group, we wound up at one point with about a third of our team winding up in leadership positions within internal audit, not to mention a couple of people going to marketing. And one of the main reasons I believe that was true was we built an environment of creativity. That environment of creativity led to success. And the success within our department led to success for the organization.
So you're looking at creativity as basically a cross-department activity as well. Not, it's like one department might do it, but it's actually going to help everybody else. It's not just that department.
Yeah, most definitely. And you think about the other one I always think of when it comes to creativity is Pixar. And there's actually a really good book, Creativity. I'm checking the title over here, Creativity Inc. by Ed Cartmel, who worked there. And it talks about how they built this environment. So every department, everyone within it had this spark of creativity, was working with it. And that, in internal audit, our small, weird little group, to be a center of creativity, what we tried to be was that spark of creativity that would go across not only internal audit throughout the organization, but within our office. And we would see those opportunities and see those chances to be something different, where new ideas were generated and innovation came.
So Agnes, do you have any questions or comments?
Sure. Mike, we're in a pandemic right now, and one of the things that organizations are grappling with is how do they stay afloat and how do they make it through this pandemic? And I see a lot of opportunity for creativity for these organizations as they're kind of navigating this situation. So what are some of your thought process or ideas that you can share with our global audience on how they can move from where they are and where they need to be in a pandemic like this?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, if anybody has the answer, contact me and we'll make a fortune. That's the multi-million-dollar question, obviously. It all depends on where you're at. As I say, if you have that spark of creativity already being built, you have people who are just thinking differently, that's the head start. If you are not there, you've got to do everything you can to catch up, getting those opportunities, looking for those chances. But the big thing is to understand, well, there's a quote I'm going to misquote.
Okay.
And it is, a question half-asked is half-answered. That's not quite it, but I think you know the one I mean. And that is the point. Do you even know what it is you're trying to achieve? And that's one of the things the pandemic has done for us. It has completely reframed every question we ask about any of this stuff. So have you reframed it? Have you thought about it differently? I mean, look at us here on the screen doing this stuff. Everybody is suddenly, back up a second, the biggest thing that has happened in all this is all the things that were slowly evolving suddenly are true.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been forced into, I hate the phrase, but forced into the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are an organization, if you are a department, if you are a person looking for those opportunities, they're abounding out there. You just have to look for them and ask the right questions. What is it we need to do? How is it we need to add value? Where is it I can help the organization? Where is it I can help individuals? Where is it that I can make a difference? And how the heck do I do this different than has been thought before? And the other thing I will throw in, if you are just one of those people out there trying to figure out how to do this, look for the other seeds within your organization. You may be in the most stodgy accounting department in the world. Just thought I'd throw accounting under the bus there. You may be in the most stodgy accounting group in the world, but that doesn't mean there aren't some other people out there that are like you, looking for something different. You start these just little pods of information and activity and idea generation, and that's the way to get started. Use your own spark, find other sparks, and build to the greater spark that way.
Love it.
And that's really a great segue into another comment I'd like to make. One of the people I look to is Twyla Tharp for creativity, and she's also written a book on it. But one of the things that really comes through in her book is how hard it is to be creative. It's a lot of hard work. And so she had a whole process in which she would have a box, and at the end of a creative project, she would take everything and put it in that box and then store the box with a label to show that project was finished. But the thing that kept coming across is it's hard work to be creative. It's hard work. It's not just something that just happens, like there's all these people say, oh, they're so creative, but do you know how many hours they've put into that? So how, Mike, how do you advise people to be creative? Like, how much hard work do you need to put in to be creative?
Yeah, I just want to make two comments. First, the name of the book, I have that here too, The Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp. I suggest that to everybody. And I like when you mentioned Twyla Tharp and dancing, you kind of went jazz hands. Anyway, I will say it is hard work and it isn't. It is about getting into that habit. Once you've got that habit going, you'll find that it just falls into place. And that was, I will go back to the Phoenix Internal Audit Department. What we worked hard at was building a creative environment. An environment where ideas were generated, where trust was there, where people knew they could throw these things out. We would do specific things to help build that. So if there were people who maybe were less creative than others, they would do it. But building that habit is hard work, and you've got to find what works for you. Again, Twyla Tharp had a fantastic approach that she used, as you say, where she had this idea generation thing, and she contained these boxes and did this stuff. Some of us, for example, me, I just have something very standard I go through every morning where there's basic web pages I go to, updates on newsletters and all that. It's the first thing I do every morning. But then it does become a habit. I do a blog for the internal auditor, for the Institute of Internal Auditors. And what I find is because it has become that habit to think in terms of what am I seeing and how might that apply, I don't know when something will pop, but suddenly, bam, it's there. You just get in the habit of making those connections. You know, habit is a strange way to think of it when you're thinking creativity. On the one hand, it is that spark of inspiration, but that's another quote I'll misquote. Fortune favors the prepared mind. And it's just as true when it comes to creativity. Creativity comes from the prepared mind that is, one, out there looking for everything possible, and two, in practice of making those connections.
Well, and then how does failure play into creativity? Because, you know, out of Silicon Valley, we have that saying, fail fast, fail often, because you're trying to try a lot of different things. So how can you incorporate dealing with the failure part of creativity?
Well, the first thing is to recognize it's going to happen. You're throwing a lot out there, and it's going to be out there. And this is going to be a weird digression, but trust me, I'm going to get back there. There's a cartoonist named Linda Berry, who's actually a MacArthur Grant winner. And if you have not seen her work, she does some great stuff on how to write, how to draw cartoons. This is an auditor talking about cartooning. Keep that in mind. That's part of this is bringing every influence you can. But she has a book about demons that hit people. And one of the notes that I put on that is, our demon is failure. We're afraid to move forward because of the failure. We're afraid to try things. It's as simple as sometimes, you know, I do these blogs for the IIA, and I find myself hesitant to get started. And yeah, it's procrastination, but is it also failure? So you've got to recognize that failure may be stopping you from doing it, and you have to go past it. It will happen. Failure is going to happen. And you know what? The whole point of fail fast is fail fast and learn. It is what you pick up from it. You try it. And the minute you fear trying something is the minute nothing happens.
Well, you know, what comes to mind, Cecilia and Mike, is in the last 24 hours, Jeff Bezos of Amazon is stepping down. Yeah. So I want to throw it out there. Would you say Jeff is a creative person or an innovator? Just a fun fact there for you.
Trying to make that distinction at looking at somebody from the outside in is tough to do.
Just from what we see, yes.
Yeah, but from what we see, I mean, there's definitely innovation there. Does it come from his creativity and ideas? I don't know. Does it come from his innovation? I'm going to switch that. I had the chance to do some training with, and one of the people in there was somebody who worked at Netflix, and they saw as their most creative person, the person in charge of Netflix. I've gone blank on his name. I apologize for that. But I hadn't even thought about it. But this was a time when, you know, you think about what Netflix did first about running Blockbuster out of business. He didn't stop there. Now you've got this multi-million-dollar media corporation that came from this person. And she was in a position where she could see it was him driving it. And I'm willing to bet that Bezos is a combination of innovator, creative, and the other important part for any leader and anybody who wants to be creative, surrounding themselves with creators and innovators.
And that's really exactly my point. That's why I was asking the question, because there's a correlation between creativity and innovation. And that's why I mentioned that, to kind of draw that in, that definitely if you're looking at creative ideas as an organization or as an association who are our target audience, you really need to look at the two parallel, the creativity and the innovation as well. And I like your point of surrounding yourself with all these people that have all the skill sets, because one person might have the creativity and another person might have the innovation. And I think if you can pair them together, I think that's a recipe for success right there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
There was a line a coworker and I had, we used all the time. We can be creative as long as we want, but someday we have to do something.
That's right. Something's actually going to happen. Well, believe it or not, we're nearing the end of our time. This is a great topic. I'd love to pick it up again at some point with you, Mike. You've been a great guest, and thanks for joining us. So at this point, we always like to ask people, what's the one thought you'd like our audience to take away, and how can they get in touch with you if they'd like to follow up?
Yeah, the one thought I'd say is there's no such thing as an uncreative person, even though many of us get it beat out of us as we go through school. Creativity is, we all have it. I'll do this real quick. You imagine a beach.
Mhm.
Suddenly something comes out of that beach. What is it? You thought of something. That's creativity. So anyway, and contact me, mjacka, Jacka, at fpacts.com. Similarly, you can follow me on Twitter at Figre, Figre. I'm a figurehead without you or the head, and that's another long story. Or you can follow me on LinkedIn also.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks, Mike. And we have to go rogue for now, but we'll be back next week with another episode. I want to again thank our guest, Mike Jacka, who is a spark of creativity and fun. And we're glad he could be part of our Rogue Tulips community this week. And on behalf of myself and Agnes, I'd like to say thank you. But actually, before we sign off, Agnes, I'm sorry. Did you have a closing thought or comment?
No, Mike, you've been very creative.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we
Thank
really
you.
do. And next time we're going to talk about Swiffer, creative or innovative?
Yes.
That's the question. All right, great. Well, thanks again, everybody. We need to go rogue for now. If you'd like to learn more about Rogue Tulips, check us out at roguetulips.com. We're big supporters of the 501c League, which is a virtual membership organization for everyone in the nonprofit community and the people who love them. You can check out the league at the 501cleague.net. And CAE study groups are currently forming for the May 2021 exam. If you'd like to sign up or get more information, you can also get that at the league website. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll be back next week. Bye, everybody.